This is an evaluation about our final major project, Cluedo.
Thank you for coming this morning and hope you're all well. Could you tell me, please, Cast, what inspired your group to choose Cluedo as the foundation for your FMP?
For FMP, we wanted to do a horror. That was our initial idea. But then researching more, we decided we wanted a murder mystery as it engages more with the audience, and we found it a lot more entertaining.
Yeah. And we also thought that doing a murder mystery would give us a lot more in terms of like content to work with.
Okay. Yeah. Good. And how did you adapt the game's characters and themes for the stage?
Well, we took the original characters from the original Cluedo game, the 6 characters, and we all chose one that we wanted to play. Obviously, because there's 6 characters and 5 of us, one of us played extra, and we just decided that we wanted to put them on the stage rather than, because some characters were taken out in the later editions and new characters were put in. We just wanted to stick with the original 6.
Fantastic. And what was the most challenging part of the script writing process? Because I believe you've written it from scratch in the beginning.
Yeah.
So what was the most challenging part?
It was like we had at the start a lot of different ideas that we wanted to incorporate within our own script, and we had to carefully communicate and choose what we wanted in the script, so as a whole we would agree that was it.
Because everyone had different ideas of what they wanted to be, and like different ideas for the story.
Yeah.
And I think also in the end, like, our communication wasn't the best because we had people also like writing like the same things on the document when we were writing the script.
Yeah. So it'd be like the same of 2 of the same lines.
So that was a tricky part of the process.
But how do you think you can improve that for next time when you are collaboratively writing?
Well, like even better like communication, like until the end of the script writing process, we need to communicate.
Or just in general, just communicating better.
Like let each other know when we've added something to the document rather than just wait until the next time we're all together.
Yeah. So that's about the future, how you word things and do things differently. But right here in the present moment, you all wrote a script, but there was challenges. So how did you overcome those challenges? What did you do as a team, as a cast, to overcome those?
We got together and then told each other what the problems were,
and we went through
it, and then we solved them.
Yeah, we fixed the script all together.
That's good. All right, so how did you develop your character from a board game into a 3-dimensional stage presence? How did you do that?
So each of us chose our characters, and we did in-depth research within like the different games and our characters, and we carefully chose which game and which version of our characters you wanted to put on the stage. For example, my character, Mrs. White, I chose the latest one, which she is a chef.
Okay.
And I decided to do that because I thought it would add a lot of character development and depth into my character.
Fantastic. And what about yourself?
I chose Mrs. Scarlet as my character, and in most of the board games she is known as like a promiscuous woman who mostly just likes money, and I just decided to go with that original concept from, I think it was in the original game. I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, I might be one off, but I chose that concept for her.
Brilliant. Okay. And yourself?
So for Professor Plum, I did do research as well, but a lot of my like character ideas came from doing hot seats, which like made me like improvise as the character, and improvising then gave me like ideas of like the character's occupation, like the way he speaks, the way like he presents himself. So to me that was the most helpful part.
And then you played another character as well,
also
didn't
Colonel
you?
Mustard, yeah. So I did a lot of research about Colonel Mustard, but then I also wanted to make him American, like a bit different to all the other characters.
Why American?
I mean, to be honest, I just want to do an American accent. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the difference for you then between Plum and Colonel Mustard? Which one was more fun to play?
Colonel Mustard.
Colonel Mustard. Okay, cool. And yourself?
Well, when I chose Reverend Green, I thought, okay, I'll do some research on the character, and for some reason, Mrs. Doubtfire popped into my head.
Okay.
And I thought, what better way to incorporate Doubtfire and Reverend Green as doing an accent? Oh, hello, my dearie. And I was like, I love doing that, so I might as well do something I love for the character. And being a Reverend, I thought, for some reason he might speak like that, because I don't know how Reverend spoke back in the day, obviously highly and all that, but
Yeah.
I thought it just combined the two and it'd be a great role.
Excellent. That's really good. It's nice to see that you've done a lot of research in your characters to then start building upon them. Yeah? Okay, that's good. All right. So describe a moment, just one moment, when your team had creative differences.
Script writing process.
The script writing,
Definitely,
was that the
yeah.
most hardest part for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Because we had all different ideas what we wanted to do, and it took quite a while to come up with one set thing that we wanted to do for like the ending. Because I think
Yeah, the ending.
the original idea for our ending was that we would have one of the characters kill another of the characters when the lights went out, and we'd have someone like pop a balloon of red paint. But we decided to change that.
And then
in
we
the
also had an
end.
idea that, like, I as Professor Plum would then, at the end, reveal that I was Colonel Mustard. So I would take off my purple costume and then be Colonel Mustard. Because in one of the scripts we read of a different Cluedo play, they did that.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you're bringing bits and pieces from research from the old to
Yeah.
the new to then try and work out. Okay, so you have many ideas. So how did you resolve this and move forward? How did you move forward to the ending of what you were all happy with?
And
What-
can I add to that? Sorry, what skills did you use to sort that
I
problem?
think the most was communication. We talked about it a lot, and we kind of like combined them all, because we still have the idea that a character kills someone, but it's not one of the original characters. And I mean, we have the fact that Colonel Mustard, he's there, but he's not at the same time. So that's the idea where he's still a mystery. Is he there? Is he not? And then we just have Professor Plum as Professor Plum.
We also had other research such as Only Murders in the Building, Our Town, Jumanji.
Yeah.
Jumanji influenced our ending quite a bit because we decided that we were going to be the characters, but we haven't been in the game for 100 years. And then that's how Colonel Mustard is revealed to be, because he's out of the box and we're in the game, we're as the characters, and we're kind of have our differences with him.
Yeah.
I think two more skills that we've learned from doing this, obviously regarding to the script writing, is obviously learning to be resilient with others and learning how to take constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Because I feel like one of us would have liked the script changes, but then someone else wouldn't. So then we're adapting to what that person would like, and then making an agreement. So I think it's just listening to what other people want, and then actually, changing it to make your own adaptation instead of just one person's own. So I think we all learned more skills from them we actually thought we learned.
And flexibility as well.
Yeah,
And yeah,
definitely.
that's really good. Good, okay. So what role did research or in-depth preparation help you to shape your performance? So what role research did you do?
Oh, we alongside acting, we chose something outside of acting, such as I did set and design and lighting and sound. Sky was
I did the makeup and costume side of things.
I did script writing.
And I was graphic design.
So you all took a key part in individual roles to then enhance not only your characters but the performances
Yeah.
as well.
And sorry, Maria, this is great.
fine.
So, guys, what do you think having an opportunity to do that role helped you in your future life?
in my opinion, I think it gave us more of like a feeling of what we can do. If we, for example, not all actors want to be an actor.
Yeah.
They sometimes start off acting, but then they go
Yeah.
down a different path. So
Yeah.
it was a very, very good feeling to have, knowing that there are other options available,
Yeah.
and gaining the experience of one of those options was
Yeah.
valuable.
And I mean, with some of our roles, we had to do like research. I mean, you did a lot of research on the scripts.
Yeah, because a lot of actors, like, they make their own scripts.
Yeah.
Because how they can get famous is like making their own script and
So-
acting in it,
yeah.
and then it becomes like a big hit. So
Yeah. And I mean, I did a lot of research on 1920s makeup and clothing, I mean, it's not like historically accurate, but we did it to an extent that it would represent the 1920s instead of being exactly like it.
Yeah.
I think also giving us these roles gives us the idea to branch out in case there was like a hidden talent we didn't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm decent with graphic design, I was like, okay, this is a possibility. And say Sky got an offer for makeup department, I think she would take that if it was like a high lead, because she's good at it, so she's
Yeah.
a good thing for her.
Yeah. So did you enjoy the roles that you were given then?
Yeah,
Did you
definitely.
really enjoy your graphic design and
I did
so
actually.
yeah.
I programmed the poster and the invitation, and I actually ran it out.
Yeah.
Oh, stop, Brad.
Great. That's really good.
And I, alongside our sound and lighting crew, Angela and Keith, was able to create the world that our characters are in. But on top of that, it was very difficult for me to create the world because there are, I think, 8 rooms in the entire game.
Okay.
And we had to choose, because we have such a small space.
Yeah.
I had to draw a blueprint, and then on that blueprint, I had to think what room would go where in the small space, and having the like rooms chosen helped me think about what we could have in each room, where the important rooms needed to be as well.
So when you say what you could have in each room, did you pinpoint a particular item for each room, or did you have a vision of wanting everything? How did you set the stage?
So I looked at the mobile game of Cluedo,
Okay.
because that given me a very good idea of what could be in the space, and then from there, alongside looking at the digital version of the real life Cluedo house, I was able to pick and choose what we could have in our own space. Then I communicated with Keith, who knows literally about any props around the college.
Yeah.
I communicated with Keith if we are able to get certain props, if we need to buy any, if we need to bring in any, etc. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, we still like talk about the other original rooms as well, because I mean, Mrs. Peacock and Miss White go off stage, but in the performance they're going into the conservatory, the ballroom.
Okay.
Yeah, and the original idea for the stage was just corners, like each room is in each corner, the upstage and the downstage, and the doors were just on the end of the rooms, which we thought was a bit too like square. So some of the rooms the doors are on a slant, like in, like, you know, if it's like that and then it goes like that.
Yeah.
Not like an exact square. And then some of them go down like a miniature hallway, so it's not all the same thing. So we've got different places to go, so we're not all just walking down the one hallway.
And we also wanted one of the rooms on a different level instead of all of the rooms being on the same level, because the kitchen, the living room and the dining room are all on the same level. They've got a lot going on, so we wanted to bring up the library and to not only catch the eye of the audience, but it helps the audience see where the back of the stage is and what's happening in the other rooms.
So it was a visual for the
Yeah,
audience
for the
as well, for
audience.
yourselves.
Because it makes it easier to see, whereas if everything was all on one level, it may look a bit cluttered and a bit cramped, so we thought we'd just...
You're using a lot of problem-solving skills, guys. This is amazing.
I don't even realise they're doing it.
No, exactly.
Can I just ask, what's your favourite room that you set?
Mine is the hallway.
The hallway?
Yeah, because it's where we get introduced to the characters, and it's the most simplest room we've chosen.
Yeah.
And it's an obvious sign that we branch off to other rooms.
Okay, so it's the main central part. What about yourself?
Mine would probably be the kitchen, because Keith, I know he put a lot of effort into all the rooms, but he put the most effort into the kitchen, because he made a cooker for us to use in the performance. The door opens as well, and you can spin the pot so it looks like you're stirring it. And I just absolutely love it. It's just so creative.
That's good. Yourself?
The lounge.
The lounge. Why the lounge?
I'm in there for most of the play.
So that's your home. This feels like your home.
So it just makes you
Right.
like comfy.
Yeah.
And what about you?
I would actually say the library. Even though I don't have many lines there, I do have one of my favourite lines there.
What's that?
It's the devil one. It's I think
Get
Scarlet.
this devilry away.
Yeah.
Can you do it in your accent?
So Scarlet says, "Did you just call me a devil at Reverend's Green?" I'm like, "Well, no, I didn't call you a devil, but if the yield fits." I love the line. It's like,
Brilliant. It's a really good cast. All right. In what ways did devising this play help you grow as, say, an actor or a writer or director?
We had experiences script writing in the past from scratch with no help, but with this script we had a lot of a blueprint which was really easy to go off of and pick and choose what we want. For example, Godfrey is mentioned in the original play, but he is a character in the play, but we mention him. And even though Cook is Mrs. White in the original game, we've decided to make them two separate characters like they are in the original stage play. So we don't have to kill off one of our characters.
Yeah.
Right, so who's Godfrey? Because you mentioned the name, I don't know.
Godfrey is Professor Plum's butler.
Right, and what happens to Godfrey?
He's off sick.
Yeah,
He's
he's
off
He's
sick.
called in sick.
He's
Right.
called in sick, so Cook ends up doing his role, which ends up which ends up
Oh, don't spoil it.
which ends up getting her killed.
Oh, you spoiled it.
That teaches you a lot of adaptation, right? Is it so? If you like a play but you don't want to, like Shakespeare, for example. Oh, we love Shakespeare, but the language is very difficult. Well, you can adapt. You can adapt the story. Oh God, yeah, exactly. So your creativity can go like anywhere you want, and you've proven that.
That original feel. Of
100%.
Of the original play and the original board game.
Yeah.
You're making it into your own.
I also found a video regarding Cluedo's stage play.
Yeah.
And in terms of stage, our stage has become extremely different because they had all the doorways to the room, and they had the hallway. But each time the door had what room it was, and then that room would turn into the room.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
Nice.
And I took a lot of my inspiration from that, and I thought if we could have a movable door, then I would really like that if we can move that around. But I discussed it with our team, our cast, and they said it's better to not fiddle with it and keep it in one place.
Because there's such little of us, it would have just taken up way too much time to do that.
Yeah.
But we do have the front door, which is movable, but we don't move it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really nice. All right, so what techniques did your group use to ensure each person had a meaningful role in both the creative and the performance aspects of the production? So what techniques did your group use to make sure that you were all doing it?
Communication.
Yeah. The most thing we used here is communication. Like we talked about the research that we did on like our roles and our characters, so that it would help everyone even just visualize the character, which then I hope would help them in the performance.
Bless you. And then I also
Such a team.
And
aren't
cut.
they?
I know.
and then I also excuse me.
Bless you.
When I found a piece of prop and I wasn't sure whether it was fitting the time that we wanted, I communicated with the team through a group chat, and we all discussed whether it would be suitable, and then from that point I went on to communicate with teachers and other faculty.
I think there is a division of chores as well, isn't it? Like, and delegating some things as well as collaborating.
Yeah.
So leadership.
Yeah, and chasing each other, I suppose, was one of the keys to
Yeah.
make sure these things were being done.
Definitely.
That's good. All right, how did you balance staying true to the essence of Cluedo, but also creating an original and engaging theatrical performance.
Oh wow.
Keeping the characters and the rooms, or like the manor that they live in. Although it has different names throughout the history of Cluedo, we decided to go for Tudor Mansion, I think is the original name.
Okay.
And we decided to keep the original 6 characters from the original game. And that's how we stay true.
Yeah.
Even though we're adapting it to our own version of Cluedo, it was very easy to stay within that kind of boundary of the characters, the like who done it is basically like not revealing who killed who until the end, but we don't do that unfortunately. But we kept that essence of Cluedo throughout our film.
And I mean, even with just the original characters, there's so many adaptations with the original characters. I mean, because I read upon, obviously the original Cluedo game was made here in World War II, and Reverend Green was a reverend. And because obviously each character, depending on what card you pull out of the pack, killed the person. But for America, they assumed, because obviously I think America at the time was very, very religious, more religious than here, I'm pretty sure. They thought they wouldn't accept a reverend killing someone, so they then turned him into Mr. Green instead of Reverend Green. But you went with the original concept of Reverend Green. I mean, you went with the original Professor Plum. He's scientist. I can't remember what type of scientist. And I mean, I kept with the original Miss Scarlet, with her being very promiscuous.
Yeah.
And
For me, I decided to go with the original version of Mrs. White. However, like I said, she's originally the cook of the group. She has ties with Professor Plum. But Professor Plum in the 2018 version got changed to Mr. Black, and Mrs. White got discontinued. Mrs. White got discontinued because they say that a maid was too old-timey. So they changed her to Dr. Orchid, and Mr. Black, who I'm assuming is Professor Plum in this case, got killed by Dr. Orchid.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry, UAL.
Sorry. So we know that the characters definitely have changed over time, and also with the countries as well that have maybe brought into it. And then you said that the rooms have been changing over time, and you could only use certain rooms. What about weapons? Cluedo's got weapons involved, hasn't it? So how have you devised your weapons between you? What made you choose what you had?
We have the original weapon, that is what we're using.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your weapon then?
Mine's a lead pipe.
The lead pipe.
Mine's the candlestick.
The candlestick.
Mine's just a smoke pipe.
The smoke pipe. Now that's not original, so tell me about that.
Well, for my character, like, we just decided that, like...
For Professor Plum, he was the only one that didn't think... Sorry.
Listening.
Come back to you.
We didn't think he should have a weapon, as it's his house that he's hosting this celebration.
Okay.
And he already thinks he's got the inheritance, and I mean, we didn't think it would make sense for him to steal a weapon from his own house.
Yeah.
As well as
Okay,
an
then.
invitation as well. Like,
Yeah.
So I'm like, in terms of props, I'm very different to each character.
So you had a, what was it you said you had?
Just my smoking pipe.
Your smoke. Oh, it looks like you're very natural with a smoking pipe.
Yeah.
So you're not using a weapon as such, but that was your main prop.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And what about you?
My revolver.
Your revolver. Okay. Was there any clues that you were giving to the audience throughout time of this performance, or did you leave it till the last minute for them to then try and work it out?
There was one clue. At the beginning, when Reverend Green is introduced to Cook, a gunshot is suddenly heard.
A gunshot.
Yeah, and it's surprisingly when Reverend Green reaches into his bag. Now, if the audience guesses, now it's a gunshot, he just reaches his bag, he has a gun. Simple as. But some people won't think of it like that, because I'm rich to get my invitation after all.
Yeah.
Right, that's why you're going in your bag.
Yeah.
And it's also hidden by the thunder.
There's thunder at the same time as well.
So you've doubled it with noise of thunder and gun.
And I mean,
Okay.
we incorporate the fact that characters sneak off. So
Mm.
they're like, oh, what are they doing? Like Miss Scarlet, when she comes in, she doesn't go straight to the lounge. She goes into the library. And when Professor Plum comes looking for me, he finds Mrs. White in the dining room. And then after, when Professor Plum is showing Reverend Green the picture in the library and I come in, there is a scene with Mrs. White and Miss Peacock, and they
They
go
sneak
out
off,
and they go
come back
off
in.
to the side to obviously explore the rest of the manor, which obviously is not on the stage. So there's little hints of like sneaking off, what are they doing? It could have been them, they went off at this time.
And then it also gives us that kind of like backup to provide for the audience that when we're accusing each other before
Yeah.
Colonel Mustard comes on screen, we could say like, they've done that, you went out there, so and then
Yeah.
So you're all blaming each other
yeah, backs it up as
to
well.
back it up
Yeah.
while you were doing it. Right, okay. That's really good. I'm liking this. Okay, what strategies did you use to memorize your lines? Because that is going to be one of the biggest keys for this whole performance. You can have everything in place ready, but when it comes to your lines, what strategies, what did you use first of all? How have you done yours?
For me, I was in my scene with other people without my script, and we went over the movement and who goes before my lines, and the movement I do within my lines. And each time I would get it wrong, I would say, let's go back, and they would obviously say, let's go back, you got this bit wrong, let's try it again, and that's how I got the scenes I struggled with the most.
Right, okay, yourself.
I think for me, doing the rehearsals made it easier for me to learn my lines, because when we're doing rehearsals, we're going over and over and over and over. When we get something wrong, to the point where it just started sticking into my head more.
Brilliant.
Yeah, same with Sky. I mean, doing rehearsals, like, it just come naturally to you once you like keep on repeating it. But also at home, I just like really just went into the script, and if you just like look at it enough, you'll learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Reverend Green and how I learned my lines, if with any other performance, I obviously just kept on reading the script. But for this one, I actually didn't read my script. I felt like this was so much fun because every time someone would say a line, it's in my head and processing. I know my line would come because I'm really enjoying this character. It wasn't any stress for the character. I may forget some lines, but I'm learning over time.
Yeah.
And I think for this one, I've learned so fast because I'm enjoying it so much and I know what's coming next. I think because everything's played out so well in a time order that I'm like, okay, I'm there, I'm here. Because it's certain laughs, certain moves, certain gestures, and I'm understanding, okay, that's my line.
Yeah.
And do you guys, sorry to interrupt, but do you think that the fact that you actually wrote the script helped you
Yeah.
memorize it better?
Definitely, because obviously when we're going through it, we're writing it, and then as we're performing, we remember it because we've written it.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that this performance is the best one for memorising lines, because usually we would go off script a week before, but we're 3 weeks before and we're off script. We're doing off script now, so I think that's probably the best that we've done with learning lines.
And I also feel like color coding the script for each character helped me a lot as well, because
Visual.
if, for example, if Miss Peacock's lines before mine, I know, okay, blue is up before me, I'm next, and then she says her line, and then the ending key for her end of her line helped me go on over to my line. And there are we unintentionally have certain important scenes have important words for some of the characters who have important lines
Yeah.
as well.
Cues are always the key,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Okay, so building a chemistry with your castmates and rehearsing effectively as a team, how has that been?
Hot seating. The hot seating helped us a lot.
Yeah.
In terms
Definitely.
of understanding not only our own characters but the rest of the
Other
cast's
people's
characters.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and we also improvised the first ever scene we actually wrote.
Yeah.
We improvised the movements as well in the space.
I mean, we prolonged it as well, because originally we were just going to have everyone come in a couple of seconds, but we then expanded it to make the performance longer. So now we've got the first 5 or 6 scenes with characters coming in slowly rather than all at once,
Yeah.
which means we would have to if they would have all come in at once, it may have not been as good of a performance because we're trying to cram a whole bunch of things to make the performance longer, whereas we can just slowly bring in the characters rather than all at once.
And that helps the audience as well, then, doesn't it, to process what's actually happening
Yes.
rather than.
I also
all
agree
at
with the
once.
hot seats a lot because you're speaking to the character as yourself and as your character.
Yeah.
You're two sort of people talking to the character, and I feel you're getting to know them, and I feel that makes the acting a lot better because you know the person. It's like you can actually talk to them like as if they were friends.
Yeah.
That just makes the acting a lot better in my
So it's the interaction of characters outside the play,
Mm-hmm.
like creating their own world, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
Pretty
also
much,
feel
yeah.
like
Okay.
I also feel like the hot seating helped us get an understanding of like what our character's occupation was, rights, women's rights,
Family,
in the 1920s,
friends.
families, jobs, etc.
Things they do
Yeah.
after their jobs or on their days off.
We, for example, my character Mrs. White, she's a woman in the 1920s who opened a bakery, and not many people
Woman.
would go to a woman's bakery
Yeah.
back in the 1920s, and yeah, so she's that the reason why she comes is because she's in debt because of her bakery, and she wanted it to succeed, and she thinks that Colonel Mustard's her father. That's why she comes in, and she's the only one that's not invited to.
Not formally, like
Yeah, not
we don't.
formally, yeah.
All the other characters don't know she's going to be there, especially when Professor Plum says, "Oh, Miss White, I didn't know you were going to be here," or something along those lines. So I feel like that also adds to it. And I mean, my character as well. She's quite like she's the youngest of the group, and she's quite to herself. She doesn't give much away. Well, that's what she thinks. 'Cause I mean, she has a couple of lines where she talks about business meetings with Colonel Mustard. And by looking at the character and the way she acts, you can tell they're not just normal business meetings.
Yeah.
Because I mean, she's as I said, she's quite a promiscuous character, and you could probably guess where she works by looking at her actions, the way she talks. She sits down before everyone else because she doesn't know you have to wait to be seated. So she's quite different to the rest of them in sense she didn't grow up how they might have grown up.
It's all those little details that are making so much more of a play that you are having to show for the audience to then understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And I
brilliant.
mean, Professor Plum mentions his dad
Mm-hmm.
in the performance as
Yeah.
well, dipping
And-
into past.
And how did you
Yeah.
create that for Professor? That
Well, just hot seating actually. That's how I created like my dad's backstory.
Yeah.
And other than Professor Plum, the only other character that mentions the possibility of someone being their father is Mrs. White at the end, which is where she slowly reveals why she wants to be there in the most important scene, which is the dinner scene. That's where it's the most intense, most energizing, and most info revealing kind of scene, and that's where we all reveal why we're here, why we
So
have
that's
a
the story
vendetta.
that's being told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why we have a vendetta, or why like love, or whatever we have for Colonel Mustard.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we also decided to do a video of Colonel Mustard, and we're as if he is looking down at the game, and which was a very what do you put it?
Abstract.
No, not abstract. Chose different way of doing 6 characters with
Yeah.
5 actors.
the video, yeah.
Yeah.
And is that the first time you've ever done that since you've been doing the performing arts?
Yes.
And is that the first time you've ever seen anything like that?
Yeah.
So that's really unique to you as a group.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, if you could redo one part of the whole process, whether it's writing, acting, rehearsing, or staging,
Wonder.
what part of the process would you choose to
Well,
redo?
Rehearsing and script writing.
Rehearsing and script writing?
I would say.
But what about it? Like how?
Yeah.
Communication, because that's the most important for
What was
the
that?
process. Communication.
Communication,
It's
okay.
more so with the rehearsals,
Okay, go on.
because obviously, I think by the time that we definitely got down that communication is the key, and we've got to be in every day. By then, people have gotten into this routine of just not coming in, or like being
Not
late, and not like all those sorts of things. I think we've all done it at some point.
Yeah.
So it's not like one person. We've all done it, and I think if I were to go back, I'd probably set in stone, even from just the script writing. Okay, guys, we need to be in every day, on time. Communicate if you're going to be late, sort of thing. Definitely.
All right. So, what about yourself? what would you redo? One part.
Yeah, I think the rehearsals. I think we could have gotten more out of the time we've had like the past couple of months.
Okay. And yourself.
Yeah, I agree with script writing with the communication, both in the same thing.
Yeah.
There were some parts where someone's script was like far many weeks behind, where someone's got the updated script.
Yeah, because they
Not all
weren't
of us
in.
had the updated script at one time. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Okay. And just very, very finally, if you could choose again a character that you would like to play, who would you choose?
Miss Scarlet.
Miss Scarlet.
I would definitely just stick with Miss Scarlet. Actually,
My Scarlet.
Actually, it's not one of the original characters, but I definitely like Cook. Actually, I would probably want to play Cook because she's such a fun character, especially with her line. I love her line with the way she says lounge. It's just, I love it. I'd definitely choose Cook. Lounge! So yeah, I'd definitely choose Cook instead, actually.
I'm fine with my characters.
You're just fine with
You would choose Scarlet. Come on.
Get in the red satin dress.
He's even blushing again with Scarlet.
No.
What about yourself?
Well, I think it would have to be Aladdin's Green, darling.
You definitely love her.
Did you
I
see
agree.
you?
It has to be Aladdin.
It suits you so well.
Lovely.
Okay.
Well, thank you very. You say you
Oh
do
no,
the
I
honors.
just want to say it's an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much, and I really, really hope that it goes well.